Decided to go to a little country today. Gonna wait on some of these viewers to start popping in. Happy Sunday. Try to mix it up with the music, so never spoiled for choice. Let's take a look. We're also live on Instagram, Twitter, or X platform. Facebook, and of course YouTube. So looks like some names popping in, some familiar faces out there. Either way are, Mr. Falcon, sheesh, made it, last week missed. Well, we got the replays for that, my friend. It was a really good video last week. I hope I can top it this week. Looks like Nathan Eberly liked the video, so I took an after dance. Awesome. Oh, wrong button. Hey guys, how we doing? I hope you guys enjoyed that little track there. I think we got to mix it up sometimes, and we're in the right industry for a little bit of country. So I hope you guys are having a really good Sunday. This is AFT Dispatch A2C Logistics. My name is Vitaly. Going to be looking over a few different stories today. Hey, thank you so much. Hey, how's it going over there? XC, thanks for stopping by. Sorry if you can't make it. But the replay is going to be on later. So, and Extreme Me Too. Awesome. Extreme Pick saying Me Too. Awesome. Well, welcome guys. Thank you for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Lots of viewers today. Maybe it was the country music that brought the people in. I don't know. But we got a few stories. Alex will not be joining us today. Hopefully we'll get some phone calls. You guys can reach us at that number right there at the top of the screen, 801-448-6363. Hit extension 3. They'll come to me. We'll get you live on air. And but we got a few stories for you guys. I wanted to answer some questions. We had some folks in the comments of previous videos, especially the last video. This is a really good video. I'll be responding to your comments as well today. There's some really good conversations going on in that one. That video ended up getting a ton of views, so that's kind of cool. Super welcome for that kind of performance. So thanks for all the new subs and everybody that came along with Instagram and all our social media. So thanks a lot. Trey Lincoln saying, hey, what's up? How's it going, Trey? Very cool to see some cool names. People popping in the chat. Thank you very much. Just letting in some, waiting for people to kind of jump in so we can start discussing some of these things. And if you guys got topics, questions, anything that maybe you're struggling with right now in trucking, maybe you're a new company, you're running into some barriers, things like that, we might be able to help you out here live on air. If not, we'll always get back to you. You can, get in touch with us. We'll exchange information. And then once we figure it out, we'll get with you and answer those questions. So definitely, don't be shy. So let's take a look here, guys. So just a quick, let's get rid of that intro. Let's get rid of that. And let's do this. It's a little easier. So kind of get all this out of the way. Those of you guys, some of you guys I know are customers. I'm sure we're going to have some of the names from last week pop in chat and stuff like that. So thank you guys for that. But we're a dispatch company, just so you're aware. No major plugs or anything like that. We're a dispatch company. If you have your own MC, you have your equipment, have the willingness to work, we're willing to work with you guys. And then, of course, we lease on owner-operator, leased on owner-operator. So there's a couple different options that are available. But nonetheless, what we're going to do today, there we go. That's what we'll do. What we're going to do today, I wanted to talk with you guys about a few stories. Now, it might come off a little strange because I'm going to talk with you guys about brokers struggling. Those of you who saw the thumbnail in the video for this week's video, you saw that everyone, the struggle is real. Everyone's struggling, and we're talking about truckers, brokers, and factors. Dallas freight. I got some good news for you, Trey. So the Dallas freight market's going to the toilet. Not necessarily. So I don't want to say Dallas, but you can look at some of the freight that's going to be coming in. Anything that's cross-border with Mexico. and also, things that are near water and things like that are going to be much more effective coming up, starting probably like later this year, and then literally moving forward for several years, especially going to be, and we're going to actually talk about that. So it's going to be really, really good news for flatbedders as well. So I don't know what equipment you got, but pretty much all equipment types are going to benefit from that. And I think mainly it's going to be flatbed and dry vans as well. But the first story I wanted to cover with you guys, and in fact, let me do this right here so we can, if you guys do want to call in, definitely, or shoot me a text or something like that, and we can do that. The number to call, here, there you go. 801-448-6363 extension 3. So again, guys, thanks for stopping by. Let's jump into this first story. So brokers are now complaining that they're struggling because basically there's not enough freight, and there's a lot of trucks on the road, like the same issue that we as truckers have in this market. But they're saying because of that they can't charge as much, and so therefore their profit margins have dropped. And so what they're saying is tough times after this pandemic boom, that it's not only the truckers that have benefited and now they're struggling, but the brokers have it tough too. And they're basically saying the freight brokerage industry is facing a downturn after a period of explosive growth during COVID. And so JB Hunt's ICS, it's a division, a brokerage division is what I'll call it. They saw a 26% drop in revenue year over year due to fewer loads and lower prices. Now, this ICS, it stands for Integrated Capacity Solutions. Like I said, it's like a division at JB Hunt. They non-asset, asset-light, traditional freight brokerage, and they also do transportation logistics solutions. So just about anything under the sun in that area. So another brokerage arm, major drops in profitability. They hired a ton of people. It's the same group of people, same group of companies that were also letting go a lot of brokers and firing off a lot of the people that they hired in a hurry. Get a good rate going DFW, but going to Houston or San Antonio brokers. Yeah, and I believe that because San Antonio was never super hot on that end. Really, the major freight in Texas was always DFW area, and if that's drying out, then that's basically an indicator of what's going on in the market at that time. But at the same time, with the cross-border stuff that's going on, you're going to see increases, and it's going to be closer. It's going to be less of DFW and actually more of like San Antonio and some of the other area. But DFW will as well, of course. Texas is going to definitely benefit as a state and anyone who hauls there. So now they're saying that the correction from the crazy times, this is basically the market adjusting, that this is a natural adjustment after a rapid increase and industry expansion during this pandemic, that there are more trucks than freight right now, which means brokers can't charge as much money. So basically, the reason you guys are making crappy money is because brokers are just, they're being forced to charge. I don't know if I can do this with a straight face. Brokers are being forced to charge, basically take a bigger cut. So you guys have to just figure it out, or go out of business. Basically, this is what they're saying. They're crying that brokers are having it tough. So what's interesting here is that while the big guys, they're struggling, the smaller and mid-sized brokers are showing some growth, which is definitely very interesting to see, because we saw pretty much the opposite of that with the carrier side of things, right? Small companies were going out of business, and the larger companies were acquiring new drivers and equipment, right? That's what we've been seeing during this correction. So absolutely, some issues there. So what do you guys think about that? I mean, how do you feel? Should we feel bad for brokers? Should truckers? So you know how brokers do us a favor and throw an extra $50, like throw you a bone or whatnot. Should we do that? Should we be like, you know what, that $1,750 rate, let's just make it $1,700. Keep that $50. Buy yourself a dinner. Like, are we there yet? Is that what we're being asked to do? What are your thoughts on that? Wet Willie, brokers don't want to lose customers overcharging while everyone is under bidding to have these customers. Sorry, I'm reading a little tough because there's like an icon that I can't get rid of that covers half the message. So I do apologize. As it goes higher up, I'll be able to read it. But yeah, brokers don't want to lose customers overcharging. Everyone is underbidding, and not to lose those customers. Absolutely, and the problem is that also that each customer generally will deal with multiple brokerage houses, and so you're going to have this internal competition between multiple brokers trying to get the lowest possible price off of the same exact spot market, selling the same damn load. And then that's multiplied, let's say 2, 3, 4x, multiple brokers going out there and with their own internal load boards and sending out emails. I definitely feel that way at times. Oh my God, Eddie. Eddie Valdez is saying, LOL, I definitely feel that way sometimes. Man, these guys, they really do that. I'll tell you guys a story. Back in the day, I remember I was booking a load for my brother, and we always tell these stories, but the funny part was a broker actually used this line on me by telling me that I'm taking food out of his kid's mouth by basically asking for this much money. Nonetheless, he got me the money that I asked for. Literally, like no more, not less. He got me the money that I asked for, and was like so upset about it. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, you got me the money. I mean, it obviously either you're paying it out of pocket from what you're telling me, or it's coming off of another load, or you literally did call the customer and got the extra money, which is the most likely thing that happened. Which means that you're actually going to make a higher commission. So, like, they're crying about it one way or the other. So I don't know. I think I don't want to really harp on brokers too much, but I feel that truckers really don't get the kind of the benefit of that, considering the liability aspect and the operating cost aspect and all of the the heavy operating costs that are laid upon the shoulders of your average carrier. Just even one truck, your owner operator, just the cost of that is, you just cannot equate it to any cost of a startup on a brokerage side, because even with a $75,000 bond, and even with much higher cost of doing business in terms of load boards, you have to pay per seat. They're, while you and I are paying $100, $150 an account, they're paying $600 plus per account, and depending on which company, multiple. And so they do have operating costs and expenses. But I think that a semi-truck running is still going to cost a lot more than a brokerage. And if a brokerage is taking a larger sum of that, and they have a much thicker profit margin on that, then they're not in a position to be saying anything like, woe is me, and brokers are also people, and they're also struggling, and it's a tough time for everyone. I don't buy it, but that's just my personal opinion. I do know that brokers have seen a decrease, but it's kind of like going, I was wealthy, now I'm rich, or is it the other way around? Just a slight decrease in quality of life. I don't know about that, you know what I mean? I don't see a lot of truckers doing too well out there in the market. Even the guys that are working with us and are doing well, there are certain other reasons, like very, very tight operating costs. They can have a very tight control over them, and that's why they're able to make more money. And then they're very good about allocating money, taking care of business, and doing things smartly. And so they're doing really, really well. But your average trucker doesn't have those skills, and when you're working with a very small amount of capital or gross income that's coming in every month, and you're not very business savvy, makes it really difficult, to run a business. Although I'm not saying that money should be falling from the sky like manna in order for us to be making money, but I would take that. I would absolutely. I think we all would take that. So anyway, off on a tangent there, guys. I wanted to actually show you something real quick. Do a little break. Let's see, how do we? Oh, there we go. I keep pushing the wrong buttons. So just a little commercial break for you guys. If you guys get a chance, please hit smash, make the like button blue. Hit it till it's blue. Subscribe to the channel. These are weekly videos that I do, long form, couple hours. We usually have some people call in. We'll cover some news, some information, some beneficial stuff for you guys in a more long format where I can kind of sit back and not have the time constraints of making sure that everything is nice and tight, and be able to provide that information to you guys. The people have found it very, very useful, so I continue doing it every Sunday at 4 p.m. Central is when we start. We're running about a couple hours, and we're a dispatch service, and we're a lease-on owner-operator outfit. So either one, if you have your own MC authority, we can work with you. And if you have your own equipment, you want to lease on under someone else, we can also work with you as well. And we release weekly videos on Fridays at 5:30 Central Time, showing you guys our top loads, right? The guys for the week, how well they've done, and we're very detailed. Put up a map, show you guys the videos, look through the numbers, each load, all the numbers, the commodities, rates, et cetera, et cetera. So take a look at those. We have a ton of videos, and you can kind of get an idea of what kind of money we're making. Look at how these guys are running with that type of equipment compared to what you got going on. If there's a pretty big disparity there, definitely get in touch with us, and let's get it rolling and see if we can get your numbers up. So there's that. Ton of videos so take a look at all that. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. To that part, we got some guys in the comments saying JB Hunt lost 17 million in revenue for the first quarter. 100%. JB Hunt lost. That's it exactly. XC, you're right on the money. That just came out in the news also, with the quarterlies getting filed. Yes, sir. Jumping into to the next story I wanted to cover with you guys is about Tripay. I know that a lot of you guys use Tripay. I've used them. I use them occasionally, even now, very, very rarely. And I like their platform. It's very inexpensive for a lot of brokers that are signed up with them. Some of them have some really low quick pays that are less than most factoring services out there. They pay quickly. I like their reporting features and all this stuff. So I'm very, very happy with them. But what's happening is that they're actually struggling despite trucking excuse me, guys, still not 100% back here. So they're despite everything that's going on, they're doing okay, but they're really, really struggling as a company because they basically purchase your receivables. They purchase your receivables, your invoices, and they basically cover that with the companies that are in there. So it's a quick pay. It's a quick pay solution, but they're also obviously backed by banks and Triumph, the factoring company. So TriumphPay, a payment network for trucking, swung to a loss in this first quarter. Now that the quarterlies have come in, and they're looking at the long game about making this a better. Kind of getting through this. They're actually getting into partnerships with other larger companies like Werner, and they're taking a lot bigger pieces of the pie. So the traditional factoring business continues to reflect the weak trucking market. Basically, what they're saying is that the average invoice sizes, they haven't budged in months, which that's another way to gauge where the market is. If a factoring company with lots of invoices that they're buying from the same brokers over and over again in the same market from the same trucking companies, and they get enough data, and you can actually look at the gross as long as there's enough trucks in that operation, and the numbers are going to show you, are going to be graphed, and then you're going to be able to see if things are improving or not. So it's kind of an interesting way to look at things as well. He's shorting trucking stocks. So Joe Acosta is telling us that he's shorting trucking stocks, and that might be something to look into. It's kind of like shorting the dollar at the moment, So we got Poor Miserable Sinner says that if fuel prices go up like this, like they're predicting, inflation is going to rise even more. And I honestly do believe that. I think the only way to control for inflation at this point is the rate of unemployment, because there's going to be no rate cuts, folks. I really don't think that they can. Some people thought there's going to be 6 to 7 rate cuts. I think we'd be lucky to get 1 or 2 if we even get that, because they cannot afford to do rate cuts until they have control of inflation. And inflation has only been on an upswing, which is completely polar opposite to what's actually necessary. So, yeah, absolutely. Good point, sir. Very, very good point. So right now, these factoring companies, they're really, and when you hear big companies struggling, then it's a big, big deal. Now, what's going on with TriumphPay? They're adding Werner Enterprises to their network. And they're aiming to be involved in about 50% of the brokered freight transactions by the end of the year. So that's going to be a huge dollar amount. As you know, Werner is huge. They're looking at what's called a TAM, a TAM of 500 million. And a TAM is basic total addressable market. That's what it stands for. It does not include the existing factoring business that they do. So this is brand new. So the market is available an additional $500 million. And then they're looking at what's called a SAM with an S, serviceable addressable market, which is what the company can expect to capture that. Their SAM was 50 million, I think it was 52 million or something like that. So about 10% of the market total availability. So that's going to be definitely something, something interesting and something to watch. Their quarterly reports, the different information that they're willing to report to get an idea that based on their based on their receivables, based on their data of days to pay, and basically just gross income, the amount of freight that's not paid. I mean, whatever they're willing to share or report on would be very, very useful, because a very large company, they own a lot of brokers. It would be very interesting to see how other companies are squaring up here. Just reading some of these comments. So yeah, cost of the barrel is on the rise. Absolutely. Wet Willie, you're 100%. I was just looking over this the other day, that the barrel cost is coming up. I mean, we're looking at, if we get to about like $95 a barrel of crude, you're looking at like $7 a gallon, fuel. I mean, we're going to be looking at like a $5, way over $5 probably as an average for the nation. It would be absolutely ridiculous. So Armando Ibarra says, so managing skills are crucial to survive times like this. Absolutely. You have to get everything lined up. And that's why I keep always coming back to like, not only just your skill set, but being good with your business, operating your business right. One thing that I see in trucking more than anything, truckers get into the trucking business because they love to drive. The majority, honestly, the baseline motivation isn't always even to make more money. They get in because their father drove, their grandfather drove, they grew up in that environment, the family is very accepting to that skill. They enjoy the open road. That's really what it comes down to. That's why when you're suffocating an industry where people do it out of the goodness of their heart, or at least they start that way as a majority, it makes it really difficult for them to operate. And so they often don't have those skills. So they don't necessarily have the business skills, the business savvy to understand one thing from another, even just the basic stuff. And that's why I keep, coming back to operating costs, raising your gross, because if you can get those two things under control and know your operating costs and know your bottom dollar, what your RPM is that you need to be at, and start to understand like the next aspects of business, like once you got that taken care of, you're going to be ahead 9 out of 10 times ahead of everyone else. And that might be the one thing that's going to get you over the hump. Might be the one thing that's going to make sure that, like, while other companies, like the other 8-9 companies around you are going out of business, you being able to have those skills, to attain those skills, and to manage those skills is going to put you ahead, of the line. So definitely, Armando, absolutely. Life in a box saying trucking will not get better until after the election. Regardless of who wins, it'll be 2025, 2026 until we see some relief. And that's the thing. Have you guys noticed this trend that all of the analysts out there, I mean, it started off years ago when they're always pushing off a little further and further every time, in 6 months, in a year. Now it's, then it was 2023, 2024. Then now it's like they're talking about 2025, and Life in a Box is even mentioning like around upwards of 2026. And that's generally what they're doing. They're just kicking the can because no one wants to take a responsibility to actually make a prediction. That's why I really respect the guys at Freight Waves with the way that they do things. I mean, those predictions, because they have a good track record in terms of predicting the actual the beginning of the crash when it actually happened. So definitely very, very interesting. And, trucking may not get better for a good while. I do think that's not really going to be the case. We are going to see minute changes, just very, very difficult with those sorts of changes to see those changes in your bottom line on a daily basis. You're picking up loads because you don't have the vast amount of trucks, the equipment. The majority of our viewers don't have them to be able to sense an actual difference when the market moves, for example, 1/4%, something like that. So yeah, absolutely. He made these kind of wages 30 years ago in trucking. Here's the thing, man. You can make a ton of money even now. Like if you get specific types, like I'll give you guys an idea. This just came across. I saw some Instagram video of a guy showing how he was looking at government contracts that were coming in through their Department of Transportation estate. The problem was that he didn't provide a URL or any information. As Instagram videos go, it was completely useless in that sense, but it got the noodle working, and I started wondering. So a couple of searches, that was the very first search that I did. I found UDOT, the Utah Department of Transportation. Guess what? If you run a couple of searches, go a little bit deeper, you're going to find yourself contracts that have been granted, contracts that are open, things that have been canceled, things that are upcoming, and then you can get contact information to the people that have won the contracts. You can get in touch with them, you can call them, you can email them, you can study their company, you can go maybe shake some hands because every one of them is going to be local to your home state. So look at that. And how many people people are actually doing that? I mean, that just crossed my mind randomly after watching an Instagram video, and kind of start, and I'm going to be exploring that. You bet, I'm going to be exploring that. And so, you guys can, kind of take care of all these things, get those contracts, make the big bucks, and whatever you were making, like I said, 30 years ago, you could be making that now. You could be making today's going rate at inflation. Believe me, I know guys that make, that average out like 16, 17 bucks per mile. They do short runs and everything, but it's not like, they're running short runs at $3 to $4 a mile. They're averaging out 3 or 4 miles, because most people will take that. I'm talking like guys that are averaging like 15, 16 bucks a mile, and they're bringing in a ton of money. Like they'll bust it out for, let's say, like 3 weeks, and they'll make like 60K. Now, I mean, this particular example is a real example. That was a long time ago, so maybe that's a bad example for this time. But let's say you cut it in half and you bust it out for 3 weeks, and you run local with minimal expenses, light freight, and almost no diesel cost. And let's say you cut it in half, and in 3 weeks you made 30K, so 10K a week, and the majority of it is net in your pocket. So those are the real things. And again, I'm telling you these things. I'm not like, hey, I got a guy, come sign up with me, we're gonna get you that. I don't have that guy. Those are examples of what you're able to do if you start digging for yourself, looking outside the box, thinking outside the box, as the earlier comment mentioned about, managing those skills. So again, developing those skills, managing those skills, and really getting up there like ahead of the competition. The size of your fleet doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can have one truck and can be making the amount of money that, for example, OTR spot market trucks make at 5x, 5 times that with one truck, and come home every night and go to sleep. So like that exists. That's out there. That's absolutely out there. Okay, so lots of comments. Thank you guys so much for that. Trey Lincoln say, I saw some Warner loads on DAT. I haven't seen that in a while. Well, Warner had that huge lawsuit, and we made a video about that. If interested, it was another popular video. They took a real big hit, and they've been really kind of pulling back on a lot of the broker freight and things like that. So it might be that. So it peaked at $87. Okay, so there you go. So probably like Brent maybe peaked at 87 bucks, Wet Willie. So that makes sense. Or 81. It's at 81 right now. Okay. Lord Kevin, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate you coming in. And last Sunday's was a good show. If you get a chance, take a look at it. We had a really cool start. Like the good stuff was at the very beginning, and then we also covered a very cool thing at the very end that I highly recommend to anyone who's thinking about getting into trucking, opening a trucking company, anyone like that, because we looked at, and in fact, I'll show you actually what it was based on right here. All right, so it was based on this right here, and this would be a good way. This would be a good thing to read through. Okay, so what's the right business? We covered business structure for your trucking company, and literally this is in writing here, and of course, a legal disclaimer because we don't, we're not financial advisors or whatever. So be aware. So guys, thank you so much. A ton of you guys, viewers, thank you so much for stopping by. Please help me out. You guys, obviously something went right. Maybe it was the thumbnail. Really appreciate you guys stopping by. Let's get on with the show. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Every Friday we do weekly videos showing you guys the top loads of the customers that we run, carriers and owner operators that are leased on with us. And then every Sunday I do these 2-hour shows with my trusty partner Alex, who's currently out of town. So thank you so much for that. Covered this information. The next thing I wanted to cover is, again, another topic I'm coming back to that we did talk about some time ago. We made a video about it specifically for it, which was the U.S.-Mexico trade. So I was telling you guys again, like Laredo, different parts of Texas are going to get really hit in a positive way with a whole bunch of freight. There's going to be a lot of motion in the ocean, if you will, and U.S.-Mexico is going to be is already at record high. So the trade between the two countries is at about $800 billion last year, nearly $800 billion last year. So huge amount. They call this nearshoring, basically building businesses along the border in order to reduce basically producing closer to home, reduce costs and things like that. You avoid supply chain issues, and Mexico is a big winner in this because a lot of this is happening on their side. And I haven't skipped you guys. I haven't forgot your comments. Thank you so much. We'll definitely jump in on that. I just don't want to hold up the show and keep people hanging out. So the infrastructure that they're looking at, that it like both in Mexico and United States, is straining. Again, we made videos about that as well. And right now what they're looking is that specifically in Laredo, Texas, they're saying to expect to see a lot of construction there in the coming years. Okay, so the gentleman in the comments, or maybe the lady in the comments who someone mentioned about Texas drying up, DFW area, you're going to see Laredo start picking up, and it's going to just go from there. And so a lot of flatbed, there's a lot of flatbed in Texas. So flatbedders, step deckers, just be ready to tarp, be ready to tarp, but also be ready to make top dollar. And our guys are fully aware of that. There are also some security concerns. Again, that was something that I covered in the last video, because there were in the video we made about this topic, because there's a lot of theft, huge amounts, and it doesn't matter if it's van, reefer, or flatbed. There's a true story where a gentleman just crossed the border, went in to do his paperwork on a brand new truck to do his delivery, to turn around and come back out. By the time he came out and they got the paperwork done, all of his wheels and tires have been replaced with a bunch of cheap steelies. He had brand new Michelins on everything. It was brand new truck and trailer. Everything got replaced there on the spot, with them having, so they got it down pat. They'll take your stuff. So, and they'll take your freight and everything. So you got to be really careful. And theft is a concern for shippers moving across the border. So they're looking to do that. But here's the other thing: South Korean AV parts are coming to Mexico, because there's a South Korean company that's building a huge factory in Mexico to supply electric vehicle parts. Guess where that's going to go? Through Laredo. There's a German auto parts giant. It's called Kirchhoff Automotive, and they're investing heavily in Mexico to meet this growing demand, more automotive stuff. And you also have, it's called Warehouse Services, Inc. That's the company name. They'll be running a new transload terminal in Dallas. There is Dallas again, for CPKC. This will handle things like steel, lumber, and agricultural products. So again, flatbedders, rejoice, right? So really good stuff. I mean, I think this is important. I think these are the things that you need to know about, learn about, before you hear it in the news, because you want to be over there in Laredo staging for what's going to come. So obviously this is a big thing. Going to Laredo tomorrow is not going to help you. May not see any difference. Maybe you will. But the thing, what I'm pointing out is, you really need to be ahead of the curve every time. And the tighter the market becomes, the more pressure there is on the market and the players. And you guys are the players. So what happens is, start falling off. And so that's what happens. Like, they're going out of business, and so capacity loosens, right? Because we keep tightening on this capacity. And so what we have to do is, we have to stay in business. But a lot of people, if they all behave the same way, those are going to be the same people that are going to go out of business. So you have to make sure, like, okay, we got changes, got to keep an eye on Laredo. Triumph, they've got other business coming in. Let me take a look at that, because maybe they got some deals there. Maybe your factor's charging you 3.5%, and they frequently have 2% factoring. Not factoring, what is it? That quick pay through them. It's easier to do. You don't have to wait on anything. You just go in, boom, boom, boom. Money's in your checking account, no cost ACH, right? Sounds like I'm not even advertising them. I just really like their service. It worked well for me. But what's kind of crazy is the sheer fact that, if you pay attention to these things, you're like, okay, I saved 1% of gross today now because I ran it through this company, or like whatever, 0.5%. So that's like, let's say $300 or $400, okay? Or if, say 1%, it's going to be, I don't know, like let's say $300-400. So you save $300-400. You saved a bit of money on fuel. You looked over your insurance policy, and you realized, like, hey, what is this? What is this thing that we got here on this policy? What is that? Let your insurance guy explain it to you, and then decide. Oh, I'm not sure if I even need this. Like a lot of people have general liability policy. Again, I'm not an insurance guy, but do you need it? There's a place for it. There's a reason for it. But do you want to do it? Maybe you're working with Amazon and they require it and that's why you have it. But have you ever needed it outside of that? Okay, well, that might be $1,000 for the year, right? So there's some money right there. You know, there's another 80, 90 bucks a month, right? So all of these things combined, then you get, you know, your growth side up, you start, improving your money on that end. You keep your equipment, you know, in better shape because you can spend that money on better, on better equipment or, keeping it running better, maintain things like that. So absolutely. Oh, we got a good man, Freeman. Awesome. I haven't seen that in a long time. He has subscribed to our channel. Thank you so much for doing that. Keep up the good work. You're doing a great job. Life in a box, keeping these guys and gals informed. I've been doing this for too long. Maybe it's time for me to go. My hat's off to the younger, newer drivers. Never time to go, but we definitely need your knowledge, my friend. You know, we have a lot of guys that I've seen in the comment section where you're talking to a guy who's been in the business like that 20, 30 plus years. And it's like, man, I wish we got him on here. Maybe they could do a little pep talk or talk to the new guys or say, hey, here's my distilled knowledge over the last 20 years. Of the ups and downs of the industry. This is what I've experienced. These are my top recommendations. Man, I wish that somebody would call in one of these days and that's what we could produce and put out there to the truckers. So that would be absolutely fantastic. So thank you, as they say, thank you for your service. Thank you for all the years that you've done as a truck driver. I think that definitely goes very, very far. A lot can be said about that. So definitely, guys, moving on to the next story, guys, I wanted to talk with you guys about this CVSA. So many of you guys know that the CVSA is almost here. They're starting out. It's going to be May 14th through May 16th. And this is the International Road Check. Those of you guys who are, planning to be driving for those 4 days, the 14th, 15th, and 16th, those 3 days, to get, to make sure that you don't get pulled over. I know a lot of guys just, call it quits for a few days and take a break. So I know a lot of guys are doing that. So there's that. What did he say? Great. More double plates for our country. Oh, got more double plates. So here what we got is a big inspection blitz across the U.S., Canada, and Mexico is happening on May 14th through the 16th. Every year they have a different focus of what they're doing. So what they'll focus on this year are going to be a couple of things, right? Drugs and alcohol. That's always in focus. So just make sure you guys, all your drivers, that you guys, everyone's, make sure that they're checking the drug and alcohol clearinghouse. So make sure that new thing you got to do once a year on all your drivers where you buy a credit for like $1.50, then you got to run it on yourself or on your driver. Make sure you get that taken care of because they're going to get a red flag. You might get pulled in for not having done that. And plus, they've been pretty lenient about it because they knew that the entire industry has to switch over, but they did say that they're going to start cracking down. So it's a super easy thing. I mean, once you get it set up, it's the most convoluted, complicated, stupid system, and the setup is horrible. But once you get through that part, then the annual thing that you do is pretty straightforward. So, but yeah, it can be confusing, can be difficult, and sometimes absolutely inaccessible. But make sure you get your drug and alcohol stuff out of the way, and make sure all your systems are updated, showing that this is a good carrier. Let him keep going on his way, but the guy behind him, he's got red flags. Let's pull him over. So there's that. The next thing they're going to be looking at is tractor protection systems. So basically, they're saying all the rules about these critical systems. So what is that? Because they're not really telling us what it is. So the focus on the mechanical end is going to be your tractor protection valves your trailer supply valve, and anti-bleed back valve. So those are the three things that they're going to be primarily checking. If you ask me, I actually don't know where to look for these things, but I definitely, if you're like me and you don't know, I would talk to a mechanic. They can point these things out to you. Another thing that's really smart to do, especially if you're a driver. I don't drive, but if you're a driver, you definitely want to make sure you take care of that. Now, the other things that you want to prepare for is double check all your paperwork, make sure all your documents are in place, make sure all your driver qualification files and folders are taken care of, vehicle registrations, company credentials, everything is current and up to date. They will check those things as well. Your vehicle maintenance, ensure that all your trucks are up to date in maintenance in terms of brakes, tires, and lights, as well as other things that you would check on a pre-trips and things like that, because the cops will be looking at that as well while they're pulling you over. So there's a really good chance that besides their focus, some of these other things, maybe you pass on everything on all the valves, but your tires are bald or they're wearing bad or whatever, your brakes are bad, and they'll write you up for that, and you definitely want to get it out of service. As far as your drivers, just make sure to train your drivers. If you have drivers, for proper vehicle inspections, record keeping. Make sure you give them a heads up on like regulations. Ask them some questions to make sure that they're aware, because you don't want them to be the reason for you to have driver failure or and get that on your safer. That'll really hurt your business. It'll be very, very difficult to get loads from brokers, because they're looking at that and they're going to say, oh, you know what, your score is a little below the national average. Can't give you a load, and you don't want to do that, especially if it would build up on your week. So keep your safer, keep your records clean. And this is something that's been coming up more and more frequently, is mock roadsides, like where they conduct mock roadside inspections to identify and fix any weak areas. I don't know if people are going to do that or not, but that, if you have a large enough company, that might be of benefit. Train drivers to go through the pre-trip inspections. A lot of people don't actually know how to do those. They just fill out the paperwork and hope for the best. So even if your trailer got hooked by someone else and they did a pre-trip, make sure to get that taken care of. When is a DOT week? May 14th through May 16th. May 14th through May 16th. So this is coming up, and basically in about 3.5-4 weeks. So just be prepared, be aware. You want to communicate, have your pre-trips, get all this stuff taken care of, or just stay off the road. But definitely a good reminder to keep all your equipment in good shape and taken care of. Make sure you guys are all done up real nicely. I would also, if you guys get a chance, like if you're not on a load, I would definitely go through and take a look here. I'm going to show you. I think I got it saved here. So recently posted this, let me show you, I'm on the wrong screen. So this is a really detailed post that we did. It's kind of the 5 reasons why a freight recession recovery is imminent. Now, this is in response to freight waves, and also what I built the previous video on, because I really do think that it's important, because it's super important to look at the different signs that there's an improvement in the industry, an emerging recovery, as they call it. And again, outbound tender rejection index is improving. That's a big green flag for the industry. Now, this is a proprietary thing for freight waves. This is the outbound tender rejection index. Let's take a look. So it tells you, in summary, tender reject indices are measurements of carriers' willingness to accept the loads that are tendered to them by shippers under contract terms. It is expressed as a percentage of loads. So basically, if you got, like in this case, if you have 4 loads, let's go here. If you have 4 loads and 2 of them are unacceptable, then you have a 50% rejection rate. Right now, we're hovering around like 3% in certain cases. And so it's like really bad. It's like 97% of freight is like, okay, give me, I'll take it. So that's the problem. Like when you have higher, like, so for example, the peak of COVID, like when peak of the COVID market, when everything was great, rejection was like peak at 25%. So that's a huge difference, because we were like, no, this isn't good enough. Give me more money. And brokers had no choice, shippers had no choice, and now it's like the opposite, because we're like 3 to 5 to 6, depending, it varies. So it's kind of crazy. Now, when we're talking about this specifically, the outbound tender rejection index, or the rate of it, be aware that that's talking about contract markets. But lately, contract and spot markets have been running in pretty close to parallel. Okay. Next thing is contract load volumes are increasing. Also, that's another thing. They saw a 9% year-to-year increase in load volumes in the contract market. They're talking about, we talked about the market gradually rebalancing here. The pace of volume declines has slowed substantially over the past 6 months. Simultaneously, trucking capacity has been leaving the market as the financial pressures force some carriers to downsize or close up shop entirely. So that's what we've been talking about in today's video and previous videos. And then economic growth could mean more freight demand coming up if we do have economic growth. But again, I don't understand how that's going to function, because everything else is showing. Like, so for example, the way that we calculate for inflation, how CPI is calculated, how core CPI is calculated, that was changed. We made a video about it. I remember it was wintertime. I was in Nebraska and it was super, super freezing cold. And I made the video from my apartment at the time. So I do remember as soon as that happened, we made a video, talked about it. But outside of that, how many times from then to now has that crossed anyone's mind, or anyone thought about what are the repercussions of changing some of the most fundamental ways of accounting for for inflationary signals in the market? Like, if we just change how we account for things, like suddenly a gallon isn't 3.78 per liter, but what we're going to say is going to be actually 2.73. and then we just move on as normal and say that, this is still a gallon. So the thing is, we notice stuff like this, but these are much more important things, because these are the very tools that are going to be used by the government that's going to give us the inflation data. For example, now there is actually no official formula. We used to have it, but we've stopped that. So what we're doing now, the government on a federal fiscal level is doing averages. How many people knew that? And these aren't things that are hidden from anyone. These are things that are reported on. It's just that they're not reported on continuously ad nauseum, and so it's just like another story. But the problem is that that story has a lot more weight than any other story that came after it or before it. And because that weight isn't there, we don't actually look at it. It's like, okay, well, wait a minute. They changed the way that this is calculated, which is going to change the figures in this way, which is potentially going to make things look better than they really are. It's going to close, or keep out certain data points that would have otherwise made it look more legitimate. Like, so for example, when they take energy out of certain of CPI, of the core, right, or like housing is taken out, things like that. That definitely will change how things are going to pan out. And then but if we don't know that the formula has changed, then we don't know what the hell we're looking at that point, right? So the potential timeline, like we talked about, recovery is expected by 2025. They said that by fall of 2024 is a good target to hit, but really they're looking at later, like spring of 2025 is what they're looking at. So projected by spring of 2025. But also eyeing the second half of 2024 with an inflection point. Trucking markets could shift back into growth mode. So absolutely here, hoping for that. And up until that point, if anyone would like to get more information about our service, you can just fill this section out right here: name, MC number, email, and phone number. And this is assuming that because this is written for truckers, for carriers. So this is that. And then if you guys end up on, like, for example, like on this page, you fill this out, you're going to get information about A2C logistics for leasing on, and kind of getting more information about that. And then you'll get in touch with Kevin, and he'll kind of go through all that information. So guys, thank you so much for so many of you guys in the chat, so many of you guys viewers. Kind of going to look through some of these comments that you guys have left here in the chat. Lord Kevin, thank you so much again for stopping by. Sounds like heavy haul. What will it? Yeah. There's going to be heavy haul. I think you're referring to Texas and things. So there's definitely going to be heavy haul. But where's heavy haul? You have also standard TL, type of freight. And then Life in a Box. I'm not saying, folks, not saying that they're not making money, but I would say 80% are making 1990 wages. Also agree, guys and gals must get comfortable understanding of the numbers. Yes, sir, absolutely. Life in a Box, there's the wisdom of a 30-year trucking veteran right there. Absolutely, you got to get your business down right. This is no different than anything. You want to make sure you have all your documents, all your paperwork in terms of your normal financial documents that you would have for any business, even if it was just an ice cream shack or something, or a coffee shop or something like that. You'd have to do those things, have your income statements and have your balance sheets, everything taken care of. Update those things so you have a real-time view of where your business is today, yesterday, 3 months ago, at any given point moving forward. So you want to make sure to do that as well. Laredo has grown over the last several years. Trey Lincoln is saying, absolutely, yeah. Laredo has become a major shipping point, and what's happening now is it's going to grow considerably more and more. Thanks so much, Life in a Box. Eddie Valdez says, great, double plates in our country. I posted a comment last night on your channel, a word of caution to all. It's very long. Yes, I read your comment. I apologize. I was actually going to pin your comment, Life in a Box. That comment right there, just the fact that you took the time, you formatted that comment, and the way that you worded everything's nice and clean. Believe me, that is so appreciated in today's crazy world where people just talk into a phone and you have to, it's onto the receiver to decipher what that person is trying to say. So definitely appreciate that. I'll get to that comment, respond, and also pin that to the top of the video. I really appreciate that. Wednesday OT week, as we mentioned, the 14th through 16th of May. So Autry could go to 6% and it wouldn't make much of a difference. The capacity is the issue. There aren't enough trucks exiting the market. Maybe Blitz week will help with that. So BKB right there makes an excellent point as well. So the fact is that that's the reason why brokers are complaining, saying that basically the volume's missing. We know that the volume is missing, and that's what we're seeing on boards and in other areas. So you're 100% correct. And a lot of companies will go out of business. I talk to a lot of folks who just have no idea what's allowed, what's not, what's legal, what's not legal. And, that's how they run their trucking company until they get pulled over. Now, some people, I've had folks not wear a seatbelt just to get pulled in so they have an opportunity to get themselves an inspection. And even then they pass and no one pulls them over. So I've had 2 people already tell me that. I believe it was just like this year alone. So it's kind of tough. So, James West, thank you so much for stopping by. Appreciate it. Yeah, check out the replay. I have a feeling that we're going to have a much shorter video today. I don't want to keep you guys, and then, the stories that I wanted to cover is what's the kind of stuff that I wanted to cover. If you guys have any specific questions or anything like that you want to discuss, we can definitely jump in on that. You can do it either, on the phone or we can even do it, here in the chat. So if you guys got anything that you'd like to get out there, Goodman Freeman, absolutely. Thank you for educating, I guess, the truckers, us out here. Yeah, no, guys, I just want you guys to do really well. Like the people that come to our channel, watch, who inquire, who spend the time doing these things, and you're gonna learn a ton, and you're gonna do a lot of stuff that you're gonna not necessarily regret, but, you're going to definitely learn from. You're going to do a lot of different things. You're going to ask a lot of, as they call, stupid questions. There's no such thing. If you want to see stupid questions, I'll have to see if I can find some of the stupid questions I was asking when I was getting started. Less international drivers, what are you saying, would fix our problem? Sorry, I couldn't read the comment. There's an overlay on my end. So I'll definitely see Eddie Valdez, what he wrote. So, yeah, and as far as the international drivers, Eddie, I don't know if you know this or not, but our current administration has actually set aside a budget for that, where they're being provided money to a certain amount of people who have crossed the border that are going to be qualified to receive funds to purchase trucks. So they pay for the education for the CDL, purchase the trucks, and basically get in as running trucking companies. The program, I believe, does it for 5,000 individuals. I believe that's the limitation. So we're not talking like 100,000 people, but nonetheless, raises a lot of questions, right? And so I think that touches on what you're saying as far as international drivers. And honestly, I don't mind anybody from anywhere doing the best they can to do, to improve their life, but do it the right way. And like in trucking, if you're going to run a trucking company, do it the right way. And then if and when you're shut down, you have nobody but yourself to blame, right? Hopefully I'm not too harsh here. Guys, if anybody has anything to discuss, any questions, comments, anything you'd like to, anything we can help you out with. One of the things that I want to show you guys here, let's see if I can figure this out. I think this is going to be helpful. I did it before, so let's do this. Let's just run a search right in front of you guys. 5,000 is a significant amount. So I do agree. That's 5,000. So imagine that's 5,000 MCs, right? That's that would change a lot. We would definitely feel that, right? We would definitely feel that. So guys, here's for example your driver qualification checklist. Right off of Google, you can get this. Every single one of these things are links. They will actually take you to the section where it's going to actually discuss that particular section. If you guys come down here, you can get all your forms and things like that all taken care of. Now, I believe the Department of Transportation, if they still have the file, let's see if we can get the file itself. This right here, let's take a look. You'll have to jump around on this, run around on this thing here, but they actually provide you the entire CDL driver file that companies out there sell for hundreds of dollars to you guys when they call you once you get yourself your BMC, was it BMC 90 or something like that? when you have your I'm not thinking straight today. I don't know what's going on. Can't. Maybe it's because I'm trying to read this thing. Nonetheless, what we're trying, what you want to do is your driver file that everyone's supposed to have for your own self, as well as for any of your drivers. They actually provide you this. You can get the qualification. Oh, look at that. Maybe we got it. Let's take a look. Could it be? Could it be? So this is the same thing. So they actually have it. You can actually download it. I'll make sure it's ready for you guys for next week. So that you guys can actually get this for the new up and coming companies. Every trucking company is required to have that file on. You're going to have your, the fact that you, the application, the fact that you called in and spoke with the people, his previous employers, their MVR, drug test results have to be kept separate, cannot be in that file. And you're supposed to keep it separately. Actually, by the official rules and regulations, they're supposed to be kept in a different building inside of a locked box. But I don't know how many of you guys are doing that. I'm certainly not. But actually, no. For the FMCSA watching, for the DOT, that's exactly what I'm doing. Absolutely, drivers are going to feel it. No, you're 100% right, XC. Drivers are going to feel it. 5,000 new entrants during a capacity crunch when we have way too many trucks. We have a problem with volume. All this talk about consumers, strong American consumer and stuff. We're actually seeing that decline now. So consumers are actually trying to hoard some money. And they're trying to hoard that, and they're not trying to spend. That's the reason why auto sales are down. Look at all the deals that they're doing for all the holidays. I mean, they're down to 0% financing all of a sudden, or like some of the bigger brands like Toyota and stuff will do like 1.99 or 2.99, right? When the going rate's like 6 or 7%. So they're doing whatever they can to move this metal because that's what's happening to them now. They basically bought into it at the peak of their bubble right before bursting. So now you have auto manufacturers. Now when the consumer starts to pull back a little bit, the economy starts to shrink. But when they're in that case, then they change the way that they account for some of these things. Tell us that, hey, inflation's down, we're doing great. Okay, well, where are the rate cuts then? And inflation isn't down. We actually saw an uptick. So you're absolutely right. Drivers are going to feel it because there's going to be a contraction to the amount of freight. We already saw that with even the weather events that we saw that went through California. There's your produce currently in season, and you have your Florida, which is also currently in season for certain. We made a video about that where we touched on specifically Florida freight, and we also made a video where we talked specifically on California produce. In both cases, produce. And to kind of help the reefer guys out there. And they all felt that. They all felt that because of weather and things like that. So you have multiple different aspects of pressure that are really making it difficult because, like, for example, even the oranges, they said, hey, we have more oranges this year than we had last year. Fantastic. But the problem was the oranges were smaller than last year, which required more oranges per box, which used up the total amount of oranges, and we ended up with a wash. So you see, and so things like that happen, and then you have the consumer and the figures come in, and all of a sudden you're looking back and thinking, okay, hold on a second, I'm not seeing improvements here, and now the federal government is actually covering the costs in in the hundreds of millions, or are we in billions at that point? How much would it take to outfit a single truck owner operator with, let's say, a brand new truck and a brand new trailer? I mean, I would think about $250,000 to get things rolling. Right, so plus or minus, right? So maybe you get a drive-in or something like that, or maybe you pick up a trailer for $50,000 to $70,000, a truck for, let's say, $150,000 to $170,000, or you're still going to be a significant number. Do that 5,000 times, that's going to be costly. Now, I haven't actually looked through the entirety of the bill, so I don't really want to get in too far and start talking about things that may not actually be in the bill. Albert Vasquez says, "It's almost there. Glad to join the companies, or join." Sorry, I can't see the entire comment, so as it moves up, I'll read it again. So, but yeah, definitely thank you so much. Guys, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I think what I'll do is call it a night. We've been on for just under an hour, 59 minutes. So I think what I'll do today is, let me see here. Let's see. Let's see. I got a little track for you guys. I don't know, those of you who like it. That kind of music. I was on a what do they call a country kick, if you will. I figured I've been playing hip hop and techno and blues and jazz and all this other stuff. The one thing I haven't done in the trucking community is a little bit of some country, folk music, that kind of thing. And some of it's got a pretty good slap, man. So thank you guys so much for joining us for yet another video. This week on a Sunday. I'll make it real short and sweet, and we'll part ways this way and play some music for you guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything at all, please let us know. As a final kind of little plug at the end of the video, guys, remember, every week we do these videos, not just these Sunday videos. We also do the Friday ones where you guys see the customers that have joined with us, whether carriers or leased on owner operators. The way that these guys became customers is one way or another. They filled out these forms. You go to our website at aftdispatch.com and you just click learn more. This is for motor carriers. If you have an MC, that's the one for you. If you're a leased on owner operator with your equipment, your own equipment, you want to come work with a really strong company with low costs and still work with the same dispatchers, so the growth side, your income side, still working with the same dispatchers, then definitely. And one way to gauge it is watch our weekly videos, pop in, take a look at the numbers and say, hey, you know what? I can run like that. That's fair. That's a really good rate. I can do that. And I really appreciate all the likes, guys. Thank you so much for doing that. If you want to work, call or text us as well. Super easy, 801-448-6363. Call or text that number or just fill out any of these. It'll create a little lead sheet for us. I'll make sure that Alex or I will get in touch with you, or Kevin will get in touch with you. We'll make sure somebody gets in touch with you. We answer your questions. And I'm going to play off this song, and I hope you guys have a fantastic, wonderful, happy Sunday. Thanks so much, you guys. Much appreciated. Let's see. Hey, it's not bad. Yeehaw music. Great chat with XC and Albert Vasquez. Thank you guys to James West. I definitely look forward to seeing you in the replay. Wet Willie, Lord Kevin, Life in a Box, lots of good, ton of wisdom. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a great weekend, guys. We had a really good group today. Really active chat. This is going to be a good video. Peace out.